in Montreal. And this one featuring the Canadian Charles Hamelin wearing helmet number 117. 3 Koreans in the field: Sung Si-bak, Lee Jung-soo, and Kim Sung-il. From the United States, Travis Jana, not Apollo Anton Ono, Peter Geisel of Belgium, and Yuri Confortola of Italy. 7 skaters, 13 and a half laps around the rink to decide the podium positions in this World Cup 1500 meters. And Katrina, at the start of the 1500, very much a skater's waltz.
Well, we will not be seeing a world record at this pace because the 1500 is all about strategy. How quickly do you start the race? Who takes control? And the person in the lead takes control. So you mentioned there are 3 Korean skaters. Team skating is not allowed, but between them they will communicate on who is going to lead. And the Koreans now at the front. Lee taking an outside pass, but Hamelin staying right in the mix of things.
And now here comes the Italian making a big move on the outside. You can't do that too many times in the 1500. It takes far too much energy. Right now it's Confortola followed by 2 Koreans, and now Hamelin with a great move on the inside to take the lead.
Well, you really need to look for openings, and Hamelin had a perfect pass there. You cannot touch the other skater, otherwise you're obstructing them. You will be disqualified. But Hamelin right now on the outside, but here comes the Korean Kim wanting to make an outside pass, and Hamelin letting him go in front, taking control, but staying right with him. And here goes Sung, not committing to an outside pass. Again, that takes a lot of energy to go on the outside and then to take the lead.
Hamelin, the defending world champion at 500-meter distance. He was 4th in the metric mile at the Olympic Games in Italy 4 years ago. Right now it is Hamelin sitting in 2nd position in this men's 1500 meters. It is Sung Si-bak of Korea with the lead. Travis Jana of the United States sitting in 3rd position.
So really increasing the pace, but Hamelin staying right with him, right behind him.
As they come around that final turn, Hamelin makes it move. Hamelin takes the 1500. What a great move in the final few meters by Charles Hamelin of Canada. 8 World Cup medals last year. A terrific win in front of the home crowd here in Montreal.
An excellent skate by Charles Hamelin. He was patient. He saw an opening on the inside, made his move. He didn't panic, and that was the key to the success here in Montreal. The final turn, Hamelin and Sung from Korea battling it out during the final few laps, and Hamelin staying right with him through to the finish line. Very patient all the way till the end. Hamelin showing his fitness and his strength, and then coming on the inside at the final turn, across the line. Great skate. Gold medal for Canada here in Montreal.
He's timed his final move with absolute perfection, and that gets Charles Hamelin a standing ovation here in Montreal. A victory in the 1500 meters, followed by Sung Si-bak of Korea and Travis Jana of the Catherine Reuter and Arika Huzar. 4.5 laps. The start is critical.
Very important. And Roberge getting in behind Mang Wang. Wang is so powerful and so strong off the start, and Roberge needs to now just stay on her feet, skate a controlled race. They've built up a little bit of a gap over Reuter from the US. Mang Wang looking very comfortable. It looks effortless for her, and Roberge skating very well at this point in the semifinal.
2 laps to go, and we remind you that the top 2 skaters from both semis will skate 4 positions on the podium in the final. It is Mang Wang of China in the lead over Kalina Roberge, and that's your 1-2 finish. And those 2 moving on to the final here in the World Cup Women's 500 at the Maurice Richard Arena in Montreal. Good solid skate once again from the Chinese skater.
No real excitement in this semifinal, and that's what Roberge will have liked. She wasn't very fast right off the line, but to tuck in behind the Chinese superstar is exactly what she needed to do. She's been a little bit frustrated that she doesn't feel like she's peaking. She's a competitor. She wants to beat her best all of the time, but this is the program they need to peak for February. And it was a good, solid semifinal by Kalina Roberge.
It's only 4.5 laps around this Richard Arena, but it is without doubt the most exciting 45 seconds you're going to see in speed skating. Things can and do happen in short track speed skating, and they happen very quickly, especially in the 500 off the start. Wang Meng of China winning that one. Kalina Roberge of Canada getting a position in the final with her second place finish. We're set now for the second semifinal, and this one will involve another Canadian, Jessica Gregg. Liu Zhihong of China, Zhao Nanan of China, and Park Sung-hee of Korea. The Koreans are excellent. They have tremendous amount of depth, but Katrina, they have never been that solid in the 500 for some reason.
They just lack on the start, and the Canadians have always been strong at the start of a 500, as have the Chinese. And this is a very tough semifinal for Canadian Jessica Gregg, who is the only Canadian on this team who makes her home in Calgary.
She was third at the World Championships. She already has a medal on the World Cup circuit this year. She was second in Beijing, and she was ninth in Seoul.
From China, Zhao Nanan.
The Chinese have a long history of skating well in the 500s, thanks in large part to Yang Yang A, who has since retired, but she dominated the 500 the way that Mang Wang is doing that now for China. Park Sung-hee, the lone Korean in the semifinal. Second semi, women's 500, top two moving on to the final. Start, very important.
Gregg needs to get off to a solid start, keep fighting, and right there you just need to continue to be aggressive off of the line. The two Chinese getting out in front, but what Gregg needs to do is to look for an opening to set up a pass, because top two qualify for the final, and Jessica Gregg coming on the outside and then looking for an inside pass, but does she have enough room? A little bit of contact with the Chinese skaters.
Very tight there, very, very tight indeed. That is Zhao Nanan of China in front. She's going to win it. The Korean has made a move. Jessica Gregg's really going to have to turn it on now over this final few meters of this second semifinal of the women's 500. It is going to be Zhao at the line, and Park Sung-hee of Korea is second. Jessica Gregg, depending on how the officials saw that, could get through with a DQ.
And Liu from China is down and needs some help on the ice.
I mentioned it's the most exciting 45 seconds you're going to see, and sometimes it can be dangerous.
Where you are on the starting line is drawn, and for Jessica Gregg, she tried to fight it out off the line, but Zhao of China got out in front, and Gregg tried to make a move. Did she have enough space? You cannot contact another skater. She continued to try to fight it out, but in a 500 meter and short track, things can change so quickly.
And your mistakes are magnified in fractions of a second. You only have seconds to make that decision of when to make the move. And unfortunately for Jessica Gregg of Edmonton, now Calgary, her decision making in this one just didn't work. But the officials are looking at the replay. And this is a fairly recent thing for the ISU in short track speed skating, the ability to come over and get a replay.
Well, they need to review it, and that has been a great addition, because you need to get away from the subjectivity of it and to really review it. It's very difficult to always see exactly what has happened. You must keep your line. You cannot cross-track. You cannot impede. There are many things that can happen in a split second, and these referees tried to see everything, but again, with the instant replay, it has been a big help to this sport.
I don't think they're debating the fact that Zhao Nannan of China won this semifinal. I think the debate is for that all-important second position, because the second-place finisher moves on to skate in the final for positions on the podium here in Montreal.
The referees discussing what the final results will be, and the crowd is very quiet, anticipating what will happen. They have a good crowd. They've been very loud, cheering on the Canadians very well. And what's very difficult is for the men who are getting ready for their semifinal, just waiting. They've already warmed up. They want to get out and start racing.
And we will have 3 Canadian men skating in the semifinal of the 500. Francois-Louis Tremblay, Charles Hamelin, who won the 1500, and Olivier Jean. But right now, waiting to see if Jessica Gregg might get through to the final of the women's 500. And that's what we're focusing on in our coverage, our live coverage from Montreal this afternoon. We will have coverage of the 1,000 meters tomorrow, Sunday, at 3 p.m. local time across the network from the Maurice Richard Arena here in Montreal. Third stop on this year's World Cup circuit.
Disqualification, skater number 13 from Canada, Jessica Gregg, disqualified for impeding.
Jessica Gregg disqualified for impeding. She will not advance to either the A or the B final. But Zhao from China and Park from Korea will advance.
So now the men are on the ice for their semifinal. Francois-Louis Tremblay, wearing helmet number 120, will be with Jeff Simon of the United States, Olivier Jean, and Simon Cho. So it's an all-Canadian U.S. semifinal. Top 2 moving on to the final. There's Jeff Simon. 3rd in Beijing, 10th in Seoul on the World Cup circuit in the 500 this year. He was 4th in the 500 at the Worlds. Olivier Jean, 3rd at the Worlds in 09. 6 medals on the World Cup circuit in 06 and 07. Simon Cho, wearing the new unis of the United States, light blue up top and dark blue for the rest. Francois-Louis Tremblay, Jeff Simon, Olivier Jean, and Simon Cho, the first of 2 semifinals in the men's 500.
An excellent start by Tremblay from Canada. On the inside lane, he takes control of this 500-meter semifinal, and Olivier Jean struggling, almost digging his toe in, but really having problems in this first semifinal.
Francois-Louis Tremblay in control, followed closely by Jeff Simon. It looks as if those 2 are going through to the final. 1 lap to go in this first of 2 semis. Simon makes a move, but it doesn't look as if Francois-Louis Tremblay was too concerned, but they battled through the line, and Francois-Louis Tremblay got a skate out. It's important that you keep that skate level with the ice. You can't pick it up to cross the line, and that's exactly what Francois-Louis Tremblay did. Kept the point down.
There was no panic for Tremblay off the line. He had an excellent start. He starts angled to the side, first person to the apex, and he kept control of this race. Jeff Simon from the U.S. has been skating very well. The American team, led by Apollo Anton Ono, has really been a lot more competitive internationally. Jeff Simon going in front of Tremblay. But again, there's a little bit of pride. They're skating here in Canada. Tremblay wants to show the home crowd that he is the one to beat in this men's 500 meter. And these 2, Jeff Simon from the U.S., Francois-Louis Tremblay, as they call him, Flou from Canada, will advance to the final.
Perfect move at the end of this 4.5 lap race for Francois-Louis Tremblay. He wins it. Jeff Simon is second, so those 2 will move on. Cho and Simon and Olivier Jean are eliminated. There was a time when he was the fastest man in the world of 500 meters. We're set now for the second semifinal, and this one features Charles Hamelin, wearing helmet number 117 of Canada. John Ely, the big British skater.
Semifinal in the men 500-meter competition. Starting on lane number 1, the ligne numéro 1, la locomotive de Saint-Julie, Charles Hamelin.
He was sixth in Beijing, and he won the 500-meter in Seoul in earlier World Cup competition this year. He is the defending world champion over 500 meters. A veteran of the British skating scene, this is big John Ely, close to 6 foot.
Number 3, the ligne numéro 3, from the United States, Apollo Anton Ono.
A veteran of Olympic competition, he won medals in Salt Lake City and Turin. Apollo Anton Ono, known for another accomplishment, winning Dancing with the Stars. Han Zhiliang of China, the fourth skater in this second semifinal. Top 2 moving on to the final in the men's 500.
Hamelin with a good start there in the inside lane. Apollo Anton Ono knows what he needs to do. A little bump there with the Chinese skater. But Hamelin with so much confidence from that gold in the 15. He knows what he needs to do. Just take control of this 500. He looks very strong and very smooth.
Hamelin followed by big John Ely. Then it's Apollo Anton Ono. That move from Ono is going to have to come right now. And he does it. He slides into second place. Ely is down. And it is Charles Hamelin followed by Apollo Anton Ono and then the Chinese skater. But at the line, an easy win in this semi for the Canadian. Charles Hamelin followed by Apollo Anton Ono of the United States. Those two will advance.
It's so easy in the 500 meter to get caught in trouble anywhere except at the very start. And Charles Hamelin controlled this race, staying focused all the way through that first turn. But Apollo Anton Ono knew he had some work to do, and as you've mentioned, Steve, Ely from Great Britain, he is very big, but Apollo Anton Ono can do amazing moves. He slides into second position, does not touch Ely from Great Britain. Ely falls on his own, but Ono did a little turnaround just to make sure that he wasn't in trouble. But Charles Hamelin took control. He had an excellent semifinal. Sets him up well for the final with that American, Apollo Anton Ono.
Charles Hamelin coming through under pressure. He won the 1500. He now moves on to the final of the 500 meters here at the World Cup in Montreal. Hamelin winning this second of the women's 500 meters here at the Intact World Cup event in Montreal. Start is very important.
Good start for Robert. Second from the inside, and she continued to stay aggressive. Meng Wang out in front, and that is not a surprise. But Robert taking on Wang, a beautiful inside pass by Robert.
That is a surprise. That doesn't happen to Wang Meng very often. She gets past at this stage in the 500. It is the Canadian in front, but Meng Wang has made a big move and gone back on top.
Meng Wang looks effortless when she skates, putting a bit of distance between herself and Robert. Robert needs to stay aggressive. As the other Chinese, Liu trying to make an outside pass, but Zhao staying in there, and Robert staying out of trouble.
At the line, what a finish. Wang Meng and Kalina Roberge, and as you pointed out, the key was for Roberge to stay out of trouble, stay out of harm's way, and that got her to the podium in the women's 500. When Wang Meng is on her game, she is very, very tough to beat. She has been the dominant force in the women's 500 since before the Olympics in Italy.
A great start by Roberge, a great skate because she was aggressive. She took some chances, but they were smart risks. The pass that she did on Wang Wang was a good pass. She used the speed as she exited the turn, made a nice inside pass. Wang didn't hesitate. She didn't panic. She put her arms on her back, and when she saw the opportunity, she went on the inside of Roberge, and that just shows how strong she is, what experience she has. But Roberge, an excellent skate, showing why she is a contender in the 500 meter every time she's on the line.
An excellent skate once again from Wang Meng, who saw the opening there, and you saw how small it was, but she didn't hesitate, and she drove right through, and it gives her first place in this women's 500, followed by Canada's Kalina Roberge. Set now for the B final of the men's 500.
On lane number 2, from the United States,
Han Jilang of China, Simon Cho of the United States, big cheer for Olivier Jean, who in my humble opinion hasn't been skating that well at these World Cup races in Montreal. John Ely representing Great Britain. These are the 4 skaters for the B final in the men's 500. Again, World Cup points and Olympic qualifying places on the line.
ready.
4.5 laps. The B final of the men's 500.
On from China, taking the lead, and Olivier Jean looking to make an inside pass. Steve, you mentioned he hasn't been skating very well. He's been skating aggressively, but not necessarily the smartest passes. And Olivier Jean, if you'd like to make up some more points, needs to make a move, which is dominated at this point in this B final by Han from China.
Han is in front, being challenged by John Ely, but Simon Cho battling for third place. And now Olivier Jean really out of this one unless he can come up with a big move. This is Han at the line. And a close finish there between Simon Cho and John Ely of Great Britain for second place. Olivier Jean not a factor in this B final of the men's 500.
It's very different to have the A and the B finals. We're not used to that if we've seen long track. But the key in the 500 in short track, as in any 500, is the start. And Olivier Jean looked like he wanted to make an inside pass and did not commit to it. And he was out of the race from that point on, which was dominated by Anne of China. John Ely, who's so tall and tough to be that tall as a short track speed skater, battling constantly with Cho from Korea, from the US. Originally born overseas and has now made the US home. Falling down, but it was after the line, so no disqualifications in this B final.
So Han of China wins the B final. There are no Chinese skaters in the final, no Koreans in the final. It is a North American battle in the men's A final. We'll talk about that in a second as you look at the results in the B final. Han wins it and Cho winds up in second place. The A final in the men's 500. Apollo Anton Ono. There's Francois-Louis Tremblay, Jeff Simon, and Charles Hamelin. Canada versus the United States. Katrina, this is rare. You and I have covered this sport for a long time, and to see two Canadians against two Americans in the final of the 500 meters is a rare sight indeed.
A North American final, and I would say the Canadians are in the positions that they want to be on the line, the number 1 and number 2. And having Ono on the outside, I would say, is a disadvantage for him.
Francois-Louis Tremblay, 4th in Beijing, 6th in Seoul. He was 4th at the 09 World Championships. He won silver in the 500 at the 06 Olympics. Jeff Simon of the United States. When you think of U.S. speed skaters, you tend to think of this man, Apollo Anton Ono. Medals in Salt Lake City and Turin in short track. Vancouver Whistler will be his final Olympics, I'm sure. He'll be celebrating his 27th birthday at the Pacific Coliseum in Vancouver. The final of the men's 500 here in Montreal at the World Cup. Charles Hamelin, Francois-Louis Tremblay of Canada against Jeff Simon and Apollo Anton Ono.
And a great start by both Canadians. Hamelin getting out in front, Francois-Louis Tremblay right behind him. And Apollo Anton Ono sitting in third spot, but already the Canadians are building a gap. They need to continue to build the speed and use the speed that they build over these turns. And Tremblay now going in the inside of Hamelin. Hamelin giving a little bit of a hand, but Tremblay then out of it. How quickly things change.
Here's Apollo Anton Ono trying to challenge Charles Hamelin as they come around for the final lap. It is Charles Hamelin followed by Apollo Anton Ono, then Simon, and then Francois-Louis Tremblay. It is Charles Hamelin, his second gold at the World Cup here in Montreal. He wins the 1500 and now the men's 500. Charles Hamelin is on a roll.
What a skate by Charles Hamelin. I talked to his mother this morning and she said she's so nervous watching her son compete. Tremblay and Hamelin, both excellent starts. They know what they need to do in the 500. They have the confidence because they have the confidence in the program that gives them the speed. Tremblay trying to make an inside pass on Hamelin. A clean pass, but then he just could not keep the force around the apex of the turn. And he slides out and loses that position. But Hamelin did not hesitate. An excellent skate by him. A gold in the 15, a gold in the 500. This is how he wants to show the whole world how he skates in Vancouver Whistler.
A third gold medal for Charles Hamelin on the World Cup circuit so far this season. Two coming here in Montreal in front of the hometown fans. Charles Hamelin winning the men's 5. Get much tougher for Kalina Roberge in terms of advancing beyond the semi and getting through the final.
Steve, I would almost think that this could be the final. These really are the top racers in the 1,000, and this will be very tough. Top 2 qualify for the final, and that's where Roberge wants to be to win a medal.
There is Catherine Reuter, who won the 1,500 meters here at the World Cup in Montreal. She also won Beijing. She was 5th in Seoul. There is Lee Yun-byul of Korea. She was 4th in Seoul and 2nd in Beijing. The first 2 stops on the World Cup circuit. And there is the world champion in the distance, and she was a silver medalist at the Olympics in Italy. She was 4th in Beijing and 2nd in Seoul. Kalina Roberge, 17th in the 1,000 in Beijing, 9th in Seoul, but she was the bronze medalist in the 1,000-meter distance at the World Championships in 2006. 9 laps, the first of 2 semifinals in the women's 1,000.
Kalina needs to set herself up well off the line, and she does that right behind Reuter of the U.S. She knows how tough a semifinal this is, and expect to see the speed gradually increase near the end of the race. And Kalina Roberge making a move as Wang from China making a move on the outside, and Reuter going to the inside already. Positions changing back and forth early in the race.
That is the favorite position of Mang Wang, who is leading right now, followed by Reuter. And now the move from Kalina Roberge. She's going to have to go to the outside. She's not going to get any room to come back inside. She's going to have to stay out there. They forced her to the outside, and that takes a lot of energy.
And Roberge is now at the back of the pack, and she dropped her head, and that is a little indication of defeat. When you commit to that pass, it does exert more energy. But she needs to look now for an opening. The speed has really increased by Mang Wang. And Reuter fighting off Lee from Korea. Robert needs to see an opening and make a move quickly.
Remember, top two will move on to the final and skate for the medals. Right now, it is Wang Meng of China, followed by Catherine Reuter of the United States. Then it's Lee Yun-Gil. Robert has got to make the move. She's got a lot of ice to make up if she's going to go through to the final. I don't think anybody is going to catch Wang Meng of China as they drive to the line. It is Wang Meng leading the way. A close finish for that second position, but it is so important in terms of advancing.
Robert will be disappointed with that. It took so much energy for her through all of the races. She had a good start. She positioned herself well. Meng Wang almost falling down and gathering herself back up. Reuter wanted to control the race. Robert skated aggressively, and that's what she needed to do. She tried to dominate the race by taking over that lead. And then Meng Wang, with that speed and the power that she has, and Robert just seemed to waste all the energy on that outside pass. Again, they have done numerous races throughout the last few days, and by the end, she just did not have the legs to keep up with Meng Wang. A very, very close finish, though, with the Chinese dominating. Very close at the line, and that's why they have photo finish.
It is Wang Meng, the world champion, moving on to the final here at the World Cup in Montreal, followed by Catherine Reuter of the United States, who already has a gold medal in the 1500, so she keeps her medal hopes alive and gets through to the final. Kalina Roberge, with that big move that failed, winds up in fourth position and will not advance to the final. Set now for the second semifinal, the women's 1,000, and this involves another Canadian, Marianne Saint-Gelais. Liu Zhuhong of China, 7th in Seoul, 6th at the World Championships, which were held last year in Vienna. A product of the Canada Games, where she won 4 gold medals in speed skating. She was 7th overall at the World Junior Championships in 2008. Zhu Yang was 4th at the World Championships last year in Austria. And the 4th in this semifinal is Arianna Fontana of Italy, who was 7th at the World Championships, 7th in Beijing, the first stop on the World Cup circuit this year, and 8th in Seoul. 9 laps, top 2 move on to join Catherine Reuter and Wang Meng in the final.
I would say Saint-Gelais' best race is the 500 meter, and this is a bonus to be in the semifinal of the 1,000. Liu and Zhu of China would be the favorites, so Saint-Gelais needs to look for an opening. And look at the distance that Liu and Zhu put between each other. Again, one is skating more on the inside, one is skating on the outside. Team skating is not allowed, but they will have communicated between themselves how they want to dominate this race. And at the moment, Steve, the Chinese are dominating.
And right now it is Liu in front, followed by her teammate Zhu. And as you pointed out, one will take the inside, one will take the outside, and it's going to be tough for Marianne Saint-Gelais, currently in 3rd place, skating for Canada, to get in front of the 2 Chinese skaters. Arianna Fontana of Italy, currently in 4th.
Saint-Gelais doesn't have as much experience, only 2 years on the team, but she's already been on the podium internationally. And this, as I mentioned earlier, is a bonus for her. And so now she needs to find the legs, find the energy, as the Chinese are really putting a gap between themselves and Saint-Gelais and Fontana.
Zhu Yang with the lead, followed by her teammate Liu Zhuhong. And Marianne Saint-Gelais really going to have to find another gear if she wants to move on to the final in this women's 1,000-meter distance.
Looking effortless for the Chinese, Liu and Zhu, and they cross the line. They will qualify for the A final. Saint-Gelais just not having enough energy at the finish.
And that should be an interesting final. 3 Chinese skaters against Catherine Reuter of the United States.
Saint-Gelais skating well. Again, it has been a very tough week for all of the skaters. Saint-Gelais trying to stay with Zhu and Liu, but they dominated. One taking the inside track, one taking the outside track, working well together. And it seems effortless for them. And as you mentioned, Steve, it will be a very interesting final. Reuter might embrace that, though. She's been skating well, but to beat the Chinese team, you have to be on your game.
Well, we have seen Kalina Roberge and Jessica Gregg in that situation in the 500, where they've been up against 3 Chinese skaters or 3 Koreans. It can be done, but it is very, very difficult. There are the results of the second semifinal. Zhu and Liu of China 1-2. Marianne Saint-Gelais finishing in third and not advancing to the final in this 1,000-meter distance. Set now for the first of 2 semifinals for the men in the 1,000. Lee Jung-soo of Korea. Francois Emelin, who is the younger brother of Charles Emelin, has made the semifinal. There is Francois. He'll be joined by Sung Si-bak of Korea, wearing helmet number 186, and Han Ji-liang of China. There's Lee Jung-soo, who is fourth at this distance in Seoul. Francois Emelin getting the expected big round of cheer from the local fans here at Montreal. Sung Si-bak. The Chinese, always competitive and well represented in this distance by Han Ji-liang. Missing from the Korean lineup is Ho-suk Lee, silver medalist from the Olympics, out of the lineup with a broken bone in his ankle. Big question mark. Will he be back for the Olympics? Francois Emelin, first semifinal, men's 1,000. Top 2 qualify for the final.
Very tough semifinal for Francois Emelin. He decides to take the lead, which again, in the 1,000 means you're controlling it. The 1,000 meter is often called the thinking man's race because you need speed, but you need strategy as well. On from China, accelerating to the inside. Emelin wants to continue to control this race. The Koreans, though, as you mentioned, Steve, are always a strength. They like to stay at the back and then make their move. And there goes Sung and Lee on the outside.
Excellent skating by the Koreans, moving like that as a pair. And they have taken the lead.
Just like the women's semifinal. One of the Koreans taking the outside track, one of them taking the inside. And Emelin needs to look for an opening. With 3 laps to go, he needs to make a move. Top 2 advance to the final.
It is Lee in front, followed by Sung, and then Francois Emelin. And Han of China sitting in 4th position. Top 2 moving on to the final and skate for the medals. Emelin is going to have to make that move pretty soon. He's going to have to close the gap, and he can't do it. It is Lee and Sung of Korea, 1-2, followed by Francois Emelin. So Emelin's skating in the 1,000 is over without getting to the final. His brother Charles Emelin yet to skate. He'll skate in the second semifinal.
The Korean team just so dominant in short track speed skating. Emelin controlling the race at the beginning, but again, you need to be able to make the moves anytime there's an opening. And the Koreans with an excellent outside pass. The way they skate, it's effortless. They have the speed and they have the power. And they just make such incredible passes. And they dominated this race. Without Ho-suk Lee, we didn't know what the Korean team would look like. But with Lee and Sung, an excellent semifinal by those 2 young skaters.
Sung wins it, and Lee is second, so they move on to the final. Francois Emelin, the younger brother of Charles, finishing in 3rd place and not advancing, not moving up. And this second semifinal for the men in the 1,000 promises to be a good one. Charles Hamelin, Thibaut Fauconnet of France, Kwak Yoon-gi of Korea, and Apollo Anton Ono. There's the 4 skaters for the second semifinal. Top 2 moving on to the final. Charles Hamelin, there he is, looking for a 3rd gold medal in the competition. There's Apollo Anton Ono of the United States, who has a good track record in the 1,000 meters. Silver in Salt Lake City at the Olympics in this distance. Hamelin was 2nd in the World Cup in Beijing earlier this year, 17th in Seoul. He was silver at the World Championships in 07 and 3rd at the Worlds in the 1,000 in 06. Thibaut Fauconnet, not a household name on the short track circuit, but did well to get through to the semifinal. Kwak Yoon-gi wearing helmet number 189 for Korea. He was 4th at the World Championships last year in Austria and 3rd in the World Cup in Seoul. Ono, 3rd at the Olympics in this distance in turn. Silver, as I mentioned, in 02 in Salt Lake City in the 1,000. And 2nd at the last 2 World Championships in this distance. Charles Hamelin trying for 3 in a row here at the World Cup in Montreal. Second semifinal, men's 1,000 top 2 moving on.
Not a surprise to see Kwak taking the very final position in this group of 4 skaters. Ono now moving to the front. And I've mentioned many times how Ono can do incredible moves on his skates. And he knows how strong Charles Hamelin is, who's now controlling the race. And there goes Fauconnet from France, wanting to make an inside pass. And a clean pass by the French skater.
Fauconnet is really the X factor in this. I'm not sure that Apollo or Charles really know what he is capable of. But Kwak Yoon-gi is now sitting in 4th position, the poaching position. That's where he can see the leader, and he will make his move, trust me. Ono now moving in front of Hamelin.
Ono and Hamelin know how strong Kwak is, how quickly he can make a move. And now the speed increasing. Charles Hamelin moving to the inside. And Ono bumping him a little bit, needing to keep that speed. And there goes Kwak, as we thought, moving on the outside. Trying to overtake Hamelin. Ono, but not quite enough at this point.
And now a great move. But he may have impeded and interfered with Apollo Anton Ono. But it opens the door for Charles Hamelin. Kwak Yoon-gi made a big mistake, and it may cost him. We'll have to wait and see how the judges rule that one. But Charles Hamelin was home free when the Korean tried that move, and I think he interfered with Apollo Anton Ono.
Ono put his hand up. He is frustrated. You cannot impede another skater, and the referees will meet about this. They can review it. Charles Hamelin skating well. Apollo Anton Ono going to the front. Fauconnet from France trying to be a part of this foursome, but Ono going on the inside and Hamelin going on the outside, skating very well, but we expected to see Kwak. Hamelin bumping a little bit to the inside, and again, you have referees out here watching all of the moves. Kwak going to the outside, trying for the inside, and then bumping Apollo Anton Ono. That is when you want to be out in front, and Charles Hamelin almost going down with the others, but holding his turn. There's Charles Hamelin. Again, the referees will meet and make a judgment call.
Charles Hamelin avoiding the traffic, and that saved his bacon. Charles Hamelin will win it, and Fauconnet will move up, and Apollo Anton Ono advances because of the move from Kwak Yoon-gi of Korea. So we will have Lee Sung-soo, Sung-si Pak, 2 Koreans, a Canadian, Charles Hamelin, Thibaut Fauconneau of France, and Apollo Anton Ono of the United States. Right now, let's join Scott Russell, who is standing by with Marianne Saint-Gelais. Scott?
Here's a part of the future of Canadian short track speed skating. Marianne Saint-Gelais, you weren't able to get to the final in this 1,000 meters, but you did get to the semi. Tell us about your race.
It was a really fast race, so I just want to follow the other girls. So it was just too fast for me, but I'm happy. It was a good race for me, a good time. So yeah, I'm really happy.
You're already qualified for the Olympic Games in Vancouver. Are you feeling the momentum starting to build?
Yeah, with the crowd here, it's amazing. Everybody cheers for me. So yeah, I feel it. I feel it when I skate. So yeah, it's really good for me, and I'm really proud of what I'm doing here. Yeah.
All the best and good luck, Marianne.
Thank you so much.
Marianne Saint-Gelais of Canada, part of the future. Coming up, Blades of Glory, the illustrious past of Canadian short track. You're watching World Cup Speed Skating on CBC.
Marianne Saint-Gelais, Kalina Roberge, and Arianna Fontana of Italy. Important because it gives them some much-needed skating experience in a shortened World Cup season, because remember, there are only 4 World Cup races prior to the Olympics. They skate next week in Marquette, and then the World Cup season takes a break, a big break, until the Olympics began. Marianne Saint-Gelais in the B final, along with Kalina Roberge.
On line number 3, de la ligne 3 du Canada, Kalina Roberge.
Roberge, a silver medalist in the 500 here in Montreal yesterday.
De la ligne 4 de l'Italie, Arianna Fontana.
Arianna Fontana of Italy. That was a huge story at the Olympics in Italy when the Italians won a bronze in the relay. The whole place went absolutely crazy.
The Italians really are becoming a strength in short track, and it's nice to see so many other countries catching up to the Canadians and the Koreans and Chinese.
9 laps, B final, women's 1,000 meters.
And the B final is about getting the experience, but it's also about the points. And you have to remember that in the situation of an A final, if there were disqualifications, the winner of the B final can move up and win a medal. Marianne Saint-Gelais mentioning to Scott earlier that her semi-final was just too fast for her. So she would like to perform well in this B final. And Roberge also struggled, just didn't seem to have the legs. And so she wants to perform well here in front of our hometown crowd. Lee taking the lead, but then Saint-Gelais moving up as well.
That was a nifty move by Saint-Gelais, but it's countered immediately by Lee Yun-Buell, who retakes the lead. And now Kalina Roberge decides to go wide on the outside and challenge the Korean Lee Yun-Buell.
Lee felt her coming, and she increased the speed as well, but Roberge now making an aggressive move. When you commit to a pass, you need to stay with it, and she did that. A little bit of nudging between her and Lee on that pass, and Marianne Saint-Gelais now catching up and staying right with them as well. And Lee now going to the inside in front of Roberge. And
you saw her go into the blue paint, which is fine, but she has to be out by the first puck. And it's Lee Byung-Yul of Korea with the lead, being challenged by the 2 Canadians, Kalina Roberge and Marianne Saint-Gelais.
Roberge with both arms down, and for the Korean, a gap over the other 2 Canadians, and Lee from Korea will cross the finish line first.
Well, she was challenged by the Canadians, but Lee Yun-Buell of Korea fought them off and hung on to win the B final.
The Koreans always very strong, and Saint-Gelais making a nice pass. Again, only 2 years on the national team. She's been on the podium internationally, but getting a lot of experience here. Robert skating well at this World Cup, and you mentioned, Steve, there are only 4 World Cups. Next weekend being the final one. Robert's making an outside pass, bumping the Korean a little bit, but Lee dominating the race after that. Canadians and all the skaters have had many, many races. Their legs are fatigued, but they're talking about trying to do a Canada-US, some competitions in January pre-Olympics.
The results of the women's B final in the 1,000. Lee Yun-Byul of Korea wins it. 2 Canadians are second and third. Skaters now on the ice for the A final. This will determine the color of the medals, and it's 3 Chinese skaters, Yu Yang, Lu Zhuhong, Wang Meng, against Catherine Reuter of the United States. All right, coach, put on the coach's hat and tell me, if I'm coaching Catherine Reuter, how do I strategize this one against 3 very good Chinese, led by Zhu Yang, who was 4th at the World Championships. She is joined by Lu Zhuhong, who was 6th at the Worlds. And alongside her will be Wang Meng, the world champion and the Olympic silver medalist in the 1,000-meter distance.
Catherine Reuter is in tough, but she has proven that she can compete against these women. And I'm sure her coaches, 2 of which are Canadian, Laurent Daigneault and Guy Thibault, will have told her to get in the middle of the pack. She needs to break them up. There's no team skating allowed, but I'm guessing that one will take an inner track and one will take an outer track.
I think that's a very educated guess on your part. Reuter, remember, has a gold medal from the 1,500 here at the World Cup in Montreal. But she's in very tough now in the final of the women's 1,000, 9 laps.
Reuter probably did not want to have that outside skating position. They're giving a bit of space. But as she increases her pace, she's now trying to move into the inside. And Wang of China not allowing it. Again, look at how the Chinese are dominating this, giving a bit of space between the second and third, making sure that Reuter will really have to make an incredible pass if she wants to move ahead. And there, Reuter trying to move on the inside of Wang. Did she have enough room?
Every avenue so far has been closed by the Chinese. It is Yu Yang in front, followed by Lu Zhuhong, and then Wang Meng, who is also looking for her second gold at the World Cup here in Montreal. She won the 500. And now it is Wang Meng, the world champion in the distance, taking over the lead. And Reuter still trying to find a way through this maze of Chinese skaters.
Just as I thought, the skaters are taking different tracks, one in the middle, one on the inside, one on the outside, and Reuter really trying to find any energy to make an outside pass, but it's looking effortless for the 3 Chinese who are out in front. And Reuter hearing the bell lap, trying to dig deep in those legs, see if she has anything left.
This is textbook skating on the part of the Chinese, and it is Yu Yang who leads the way across the line for the Chinese to take the gold medal in the women's 1,000 meters here in the World Cup in Montreal, presented by Impact. Textbook team racing, even though it is not allowed.
Look at how the Chinese dominated the ice. It's a small ice surface, and they used every part of it, not allowing Reuter to find any inside or outside space. A lot of energy that's exerted by Reuter. Mental energy, looking for an opening, but the Chinese really dominating, showing why they are one of the strongest nations in short track speed skating. They will be satisfied with the gold, silver, and bronze in that final.
They took away the outside, they took away the inside. Reuter just had no chance whatsoever. She had to maybe get in front right from the get-go and stay there, but that would have been very, very difficult against these 3 talented Chinese skaters. Yu Yang wins it. Wang Meng gets a silver medal to go along with her gold in the women's 1,000 meters. We're set now for the B final of the men's 1,000 meters, and we have only two skaters, Han Jiliang of China and Canada's Francois Hamelin, the younger brother of Charles Hamelin.
In front of a hometown crowd. Real family affair for the Hamelin brothers, with their dad being team leader, their mom here watching. And again, it's a B final, but it's very important for World Cup points.
Go to the start.
9 laps. B final for the men. Francois Hamelin with helmet number 119. And this will be a cat and mouse.
A very slow pace set by Francois Hamelin. We've seen it where it's so slow that the referee has actually blown the whistle. It's at their discretion if it's too slow a pace, and they've called them back to the line.
The rule says you have to race, and if the officials don't think that you're giving it enough to make it a race, they can stop you and make you go again. Now they picked it up. The officials will like this because Han has moved in front and is obviously going to make a race out of this and make Francois skate a little faster.
For Hamelin, when it's more experience, he wants to be skating the 1,000 at the Olympic Games. He takes the lead, and on now, increasing the pace, looking for an opening. It's always interesting where there are only two skaters, but the speed really starting to increase now. Francois Hamelin dropping that arm, knowing that on behind him wants to make a move. And there goes on. Oh, not committing to the inside pass as Francois Hamelin picks it up.
I don't know what position I'd sooner be in right now in a two-man race in the B final of the 1,000, in front or behind. It's the final lap.
Francois Hamelin trying, oh, they click skates. He's trying to control it, and On could just not get by. Hamelin, his arm up in victory in front of a hometown crowd. It's the B final, but he still wanted to win. There's something about individual athletes. Everybody's a little bit stubborn, a lot of pride, and Francois Hamelin, his home track, wanted to have a good race for his family and all the fans.
Well, as you mentioned, his ultimate goal is to get to the Olympics and compete in the 1,000, perhaps with his brother Charles.
On looking at Hamelin, wondering if he had the space to make that inside move. He's building the speed around the turn, and On clicking skates and just knowing that he did not have enough. And for Francois Hamelin, a victory in the B final.
Francois Hamelin with a time of 1:38.362. Time is really not a factor, and the reason was obvious at the start of that race. They both came out and skated very slowly, so Charles Hamelin's world record time was definitely not in danger in that B final. And this is the lineup for the men's A final. This will determine the color of the medals. Charles Hamelin in against a French skater, Apollo-Anton Ono, and two Koreans. Lee Jung-soo of Korea wearing helmet number 187 and Sung Si-bak 186. They call him the Saint-Julie Express. Charles Hamelin. Sung Si-bak 186.
On lane number 2, heading numéro 2 from Korea, Lee Jung-soo.
Lee Jung-soo, 187. Currently ranked number 1 in the World Cup at the 1,000 meter distance. The Saint-Julie Express, silver and bronze at the World Championships in 06 and 07 in the 1,000 meter distance. Thibaut Fauconnet of France. and the 5th member of this group, bronze and silver at the Olympics in the 1,000. Apollo Anton Ono, better known to a lot of fans around North America as the winner of Dancing with the Stars. Proved he's more than just a speed skater. 9 laps, the A final of the men's 1,000 meters.
Amala would love to make this a sweep. Ono would love a victory, and Ono goes from the inside to the tiny little opening to the outside and to the front, and Ono takes a look behind him. The beginning of the 1,000, everybody's jostling for positions. You look around to see what skaters wear, and again, you have coaches on the outside communicating to you. And now Charles Amala increasing the speed, taking the lead, and we saw it in the semifinal. To be in the lead means you're in control of the race.
8 laps to go. Can Charles Amelin win a 3rd straight gold here at the World Cup in Montreal? It is Amelin in front, followed by Apollo Anton Ono of the United States, then the 2 Koreans, Lee Jung-soo and Sung Si-bak.
Amala skating very well here in Montreal, but there goes Sung on the outside, trying to increase the speed, and Ono and him, hands on each other, and it looked okay, and Amala trying to increase the speed and go back on the inside, but again, it's Sung who has taken over the lead, and Ono has dropped to 4th.
And now Lee Jung-soo makes his move, dropping Amelin to 3rd position. But Apollo Anton Ono isn't finished yet, folks. He's got lots left. The 2 Koreans in front, 1-2. And Charles Amelin finishes 3rd. So 2 gold and a bronze for Charles Amelin so far here at the World Cup in Montreal. But the Koreans skated a perfect technical race and finished 1-2.
That's why the 1,000 in short track is so exciting. Charles Amelin loves this distance. Oh no, look at that little move. Wanted to take control, but he knew that he was in tough against Sung and Lee from Korea, and Charles Amelin skating very well, taking control when he needed to. But you can never ignore the Korean skaters. They have the strength and the speed and the power. Sung going on the outside, committing to the pass, and Ono trying to stay up with them. Fauconnet from France out of it. But Charles Amelin trying to keep up. A very tough A final, but a great skate by these short track men. Charles Amelin not seeing any opening at the finish line. 1 Korean on the inside, 1 Korean on the outside. No room for Amelin to take over.
That's a great combination for the Koreans. Sung Si-bak and Lee Jung-soo. 1-2 in the men's 1,000 meters.